I'm Mike Durkee, and he's Paul Charchian, and this is Fantasy Victory Now. For most of you, the playoffs are here, which makes these rankings all the more important. And one guy that's ranked a little lower than we've seen him lately, Tre Mason.
Yeah, Trey Mason. My ranking is low, but it's less about Mason and more about a tough matchup. The Rams' offense is not conducive to big plays. They're next to last in plays that have gone for 20 or more yards. And that tells us while Mason's touchdowns last week of 35 and 89 yards were nice for fantasy owners, they were also totally fluky. And then there's Washington's run defense. They've been one of the best all season, and they've been excellent of late. They've held backs to 3.5 yards per carry over its past 3 games. And so I'm not chasing last week's box score on Tre Mason. I'm showing some caution here.
All right, in Denver, C.J. Anderson's success has really coincided with the use of Virgil Green as a tight end while Julius Thomas has been out. Should Julius Thomas owners be concerned that Green will stay in there a little bit more?
I don't think so. It's true that Julius Thomas isn't a great blocker, and Green probably gives Anderson a few extra yards throughout the game. If Anderson were more monodimensional, I think it'd be more problematic, but he's really good in a lot of areas. He's an inside runner, outside runner. He catches passes, and so that versatility means that C.J. Anderson shouldn't crumble when Thomas returns. So I think Thomas goes right back to a similar role. I think C.J. Anderson stays really valuable, and I think Thomas, doesn't miss more than a few reps here. Hopefully it sounds like he should be back in near 100% by Sunday.
No matter when you're watching this, probably somewhere the brass at ESPN is still talking about Johnny Manziel versus Brian Hoyer.
They loved that, didn't they?
Yeah,
they got a week out of that one.
But Brian Hoyer, Mike Pettin made the decision. He is the starter for Indy. Does Johnny Manziel belong on rosters for the rest of the season?
I think he does. Any interception could be Brian Hoyer's last. Any of them. I mean, imagine this Sunday. Hoyer's first series throws an interception. He's out of there. I mean, that's it for Hoyer. I mean, the leash is so short with him. And then there's Manziel's rushing prowess. That makes him super valuable in fantasy. Let me give you an example. Let's take a very pedestrian 225-yard, 1-touchdown passing day. That's, low-end fantasy production, and that's certainly attainable by Manziel. And by itself, that's not going to help your fantasy team at all. You can get 225 and 1 out of anybody. But if you throw in 50 rushing yards, he almost doubles his passing fantasy points with those 50 rushing yards. Now, if you get 50 rushing yards and a touchdown, Johnny Manziel just became a top 5 fantasy quarterback on a day in which he threw for 225 yards and 1 touchdown. So, the rushing part of this really gives him a massive advantage, Mike.
Yeah, so still a little promise for Manziel. But what about this Sunday? Are either of these quarterbacks worth taking a chance on Sunday?
I'd almost rather take Manziel. I don't love the matchup for Hoyer, and I'd almost rather take Manziel under the assumption that Hoyer ends up getting yanked at some point and Manziel goes in. We'll see. Give credit to Hoyer for producing a lot of victories as a starter, but I think this team's been winning in spite of him more lately.
All right, well, the stakes are high. We're with you for the playoff push. Check all of those rankings right up until kickoff, fantasyvictory.com.
It's not baseball season yet. I don't think we're pitching quite yet.